You're listening to Live Stories on Talk Radio Wales. The people at the heart of your community telling it as it is.
I'm with Councillor Kevin Madge, who is standing in the Garnant ward for the next local elections 2022, May the 5th. Welcome, Kevin.
Yeah, good morning, Alan. Nice to talk to you again. And it's a wonderful morning.
Just for people that might not know you, you've been a councillor for many, many years. In fact, you've been the leader of Carmarthenshire Council as well for Labour, the Labour administration. A lot of people who do know you, maybe a lot of people who've read things about you, whether it's good or bad, will be having to decide on May the 5th whether or not to re-elect you again. Just in a short couple of sentences, why should people vote for Kevin Madge?
I've been doing this job now we were starting 44 years in May. I'm passionate about it, and I'm still so. And, we've got a huge task ahead of us now with a cost of living crisis. Whoever gets elected now into the councils in May are going to face the biggest challenge, I think, in living memory, especially what's going to happen in October as well, with further increases in fuel and electric. And people are now turning off their heating because they can't afford it. So these are the kind of challenges that we are going to face that I haven't seen in my 40 years. There's always been poverty, but things are going to get even worse with the way things are going. But I'm determined to work hard. I do regular surgeries. I've done it since 1987. I go out to the community when I walk about surgeries. I'm passionate about Garnant. I love Garnant to bits, and I will work hard if I get elected again to serve the people that I've represented since 1979.
You've obviously been quite critical of Plaid Cymru in the past and in recent times, really, about their track record in Ammanford specifically. How do you sort of sit that with the arrangement between Plaid Cymru and the Senedd with Welsh Labour? Are you happy as a rank and file Labour person? Are you happy, or do you think that's sort of compromising Welsh Labour in any way?
No, because I think, Mark Trafford has been an excellent leader since he's been First Minister. He's only got 30 seats. So, there's a lot of radical policies. I believe in health, with social services and health coming together. That's one policy. And if they want to support us and get, the policies that the Labour government got elected on, I'm fine with that. If it's going to benefit the people I represent, I can live with that. But, at the end of the day, it's about, making people's lives better. And that's what my philosophy is. So I'm not worried about them supporting us if that's what they want to do. And as long as the people I represent are better off because of it. So that's my take on that. And but at a local level, that's another matter because they've got a lot to answer for, levelling up money. 36 million has gone in now to two projects in Carmarthen and in Llandailo, the cycleway. Now, the Amman Valley and the Gwendraeth Valley are the most deprived areas in this area. You think what we could have done with our levelling up money? And there's no more money coming. And I'm really angry about that. That's one of the most angry things that I've ever, the last couple of months. And we should have had that money, and we could have really transformed the Gwendraeth and Amman Valley with that money. So Plaid got a lot to answer as far as the levelling up money is concerned. And I think, that should have come to this area because we are more deprived than other parts of the county.
I suppose some people will be kind of looking at it and saying, okay, well, Plaid Cymru's answer would be, look, the money was applied for under certain circumstances and therefore it has to be allocated to what it was applied for, i.e., tourism or whatever it is. It can't sort of be switched to, look, here's money for improving climate change, here's money for improving cycling tracks and walking and healthy, living, but you have to give that to the poor in Ghana. That's not how it works, obviously. But I understand what you're saying. There are going to be people who are going to be really at the bottom of the pile, scratching around, really. And we're not talking about the most poor in the communities. We're talking about even families where both parents may be working in not highly paid jobs. There aren't many highly paid jobs in Carmarthenshire. I know you said in the past, and Rob James has said the same thing really, about this kind of scheme you had, this idea you had to create almost sort of mini businesses within the council, house building, getting young people gardening, growing locally, which is something you're very into. Do you still see that as a potential sort of solution to some of the problems we're facing, generating that employment within, using the Carmarthenshire County Council sort of resources to create these things rather than outsourcing it all to companies, as we've seen in the valleys where that insulation programme went so badly wrong, so much money was given and wasted. And mind you, that was under the Welsh Labour government as well.
Yeah, we've got to learn. When I was leader, I've learned a lot in the last couple of years. When you've been in opposition for 7 years, you've learned. I've looked back to my period. A lot of good things were done in that period. Don't get me wrong. I'm proud of building the first council houses in Wales, and stopping the right to buy. Things like that. A lot of things were done in my time, and all the regeneration projects that we dealt with. But you are right. The more that we can do in Carmarthenshire, and the more we can grow our companies and local firms, then that's the best way to go forward, because we've always allowed companies to come in or outsource contracts to companies all over the place. But we need to make sure that stays in our borders. So, we can't do everything that way, but I think that's what Rob is got the vision for. And I'll give credit to Rob. He's got I really think that he's going to take this council forward, hopefully on May the 5th, when he gets be council leader. And I look forward to working with him, because I think, we've got a vision in our manifesto, and the manifesto that we're putting forward is a radical manifesto, and there's a lot of good things in there, which are really, really going to make a difference, I hope, in the next 5 years.
You can make as many promises as you like, I guess. There are some people out there who will say, oh, well, promises all well and good. If I can ask you one question now and maybe hold you to this, should you get into the administration. Small schools are an essential part of many communities, and I know that even in Ammanford you have a few there that have been earmarked for closure. We've seen so many small schools close across Carmarthenshire, and those villages sort of left really almost like ghost villages as a result. Are you committed to keeping the small schools open in Carmarthenshire?
Well, we first of all, when we come in May, we've got to have a look at the books. We want to see what the position of these schools are. We're going to do our best to keep, I built, when I was leader, we built a small school, and we're going to look at building new ones. I think it is important that we keep as many schools in the rural areas as we can. Now, I can't tell you here and now that we're going to be able to keep every school open, and I cannot commit that, but we are going to change the way we look at things, and even locally, Plaid promised a brand new school for Ammanford. They've not delivered it, and they've thrown it back to 24-25 when there was 8 million in the capital programme in 2017-18. So it's obvious, that there is, a lot of work to do. And as Rob James has said, we are going to, look at things in a different way than we did in the past. When I came in 79, it was the back end of the coal industry. There were so many problems locally to deal with. I'm proud of what I've done. Many, many projects, from the golf course to a new school, to the river walkway through the valley. I've been involved in all the big projects in the community, but I'm passionate about trying to do more in the next 5 years. But, my record is there, and people of Garnant have returned me, with big majorities through the decades, and I'm proud of the people, and I thank the people for doing it. And I know I've delivered for them. Can't deliver everything, and you do your best, and I have tried to do my best, and that's why you stand for public office. But there's a lot more to do.
A lot of people have left the Labour Party in Carmarthenshire, and they've gone into this kind of, they're standing as independents. They tried to form a group, but were a bit late in doing that and didn't pay the registration fee. Are you worried about this new independent group who were formerly, most of them, a lot of them were Labour Party members, Labour councillors? Do you think that they are being truthful, honest with the people that they're in the wards they're standing in?
Look, it's the same people who ousted me as leader. They weren't Labour in the first place. They stood as Labour candidates. They were all Labour, whatever they were. Now they're saying they're new independents. You cannot write it, because at the end of the day, they brought down my administration, some of those people, and now they're going around saying that they're new. How can they be new when they took, they destroyed the Labour administration and all the work that I was doing and the people around me? So I've got no time for them, and I know that we've got good Labour candidates in Llanelli standing against them. So let them come forward, but their record is very poor, and they let the people of Llanelli down when they ousted the Labour administration. So I've got no time for them, and I think the Labour Party will come out on top in this election.
Do you think they can do some damage as splitting the seats? Because and if they do split the seats and take votes away from Labour, is that a way again? Then do you see that a way of letting Plaid in through a sort of a lucky?
Well, any contest, any close fight, and there is some of the wards have got big majorities, others haven't, and Carmarthenshire is no different from all the other councils. There's marginal seats and there's strongholds, and in Llanelli there is some marginal seats. Their votes might make a difference, and they might not. But they need to answer their record of the past. They can't be, old Labour, whatever they were, and now they're new independents. I can't get my head around that, because, at the end of the day, you can't be new if you were what you were before. So why didn't they deliver when they were in the Labour Party? So, I know the individuals. I'm not going to name anybody. I'm not going to go. But they got a lot to answer for. And, if Labour, I'm confident that we're going to win back all those seats that they left us in the last administration. These new independents were Labour people, and you can't, at the end of the day, how can they be new? They've been in office. Some of them have been in office in the last administration, in the last council. So how, they can call themselves new? We have got independents on the council, and, I had a coalition with them for 11 years. I knew they were independent. And I had a lot of, I was able to work with them. Now that they're all mostly independent. They stood as independents, and we know that is what they are. But this lot seem to be, they call themselves new. They weren't new. They were former Labour, most of them were former Labour members. Yeah. So they're not new.
Are you confident then that you can win in Garnant?
Well, you never be confident. I'll be going out now starting tomorrow. I'll be knocking every door as I have done since 1979. And I will go after every vote. And I know that, in any election, you cannot always win everybody over, but I will be going out with my record of the last 5 years, and I've done a lot. And I'll be putting a manifesto in front of them for the next 5 years, and hopefully that they will return me again as they've done since 1979. And, it's been a long career for me, but I'm still passionate now about doing for the people that I represent, and I will carry on doing it until for the next 5 years anyway. And I can't look that far ahead after 5 years, but for the next 5 years anyway. Well, give them 100%.
That's great. Well, Kevin, Madge, many thanks for speaking to us, and I will speak to you, no doubt, after the local elections are over.
Yeah, look forward, Alan, or any time you come back to me, and I'm very grateful to you, and thank you very much for doing the interview with me.
Is there a burning issue within your community? We'd love to hear from you at Talk Radio Wales. Call or text on 07308 598 604 or email manager@talkradiowales.com. Follow us on Facebook or tweet at Talk Wales. You're listening to Talk Radio Wales, streaming live across the World Wide Web, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Great music, great stories. This is Talk Radio Wales.